Ready to get started here. The open meetings law is posted at the back of the room by the door. Public comment is welcome by the public. And with respect to testimony, there is a total of 5 minutes allowed on each item per individual. And those testifying should, pardon me?
Yeah, these aren't on. Now they're on. All right. They're good.
Thank you for your active interest, Nancy. Okay, perhaps I should repeat for the public that the open meetings law is posted in the back of the room and public comment is welcome. On each item on the agenda, we ask that you keep your speaking time to a total of 5 minutes. And with that, Colonel Tim, unless you have introductory comments, I think we're ready to go.
Let's go.
You ready to go? All right. Agenda item number 3 is the approval of minutes from the JPA meeting held April 26, 2018. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further comment? If not, call the roll.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Beitler?
Yes. The minutes are approved. Agenda item number 4 is the approval of the April 2018 payment register, which will be reviewed with us by Brandon Kaufman. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you. Members of the board, Brandon Kaufman, treasurer for the JPA. Before you, you have the payment register for April 2018. You have total expenditures for operating of $265,309.62. You got capital expenditures of $10,148.96. There's really 3 main items for the operating budget expenditures. First, you've got a $50,021 payment to the city, and that's for park and rec maintenance of the festival lot, and then also reimbursement for the DLA contract for maintenance of Arena Drive. There's a $14,321.62 repair maintenance reimbursement. That's for food and beverage maintenance, IT maintenance, elevator, escalator maintenance, and sign repairs. The $199,000 or $28.88 is to the District Energy Corporation for all the energy payments in the heating and cooling in the district. About 62% of that is billed back to the private sector. For the capital budget, you've got some expenditures there for environmental monitoring. There's some bollard installation. Then you have the PC Sports contract. With that, let's stand for any questions on expenditures.
Okay, the questions of Brandon. Tim?
So the money's paid to the city for the festival lot and then Arena Drive maintenance. You mentioned that part of that was paid to DLA.
Yeah, and I believe the city has a contract to help maintain Arena Drive, and then they get reimbursed from the JPA for that maintenance.
Okay, and this isn't part of that isn't taken out, or the payment is not taken out of the money we gave to the foundation, Parks Foundation,
Sure.
for that
No.
maintenance?
No.
Excuse me, where's the dividing line between where that money is used versus regular?
I might turn to Chris Conley, who might be able to help with that question.
Chris Connolly, City Law. The foundation money is meant for repairs, such as repairs to sprinkler systems, replanting plants, those kinds of things. I don't think that was intended to cover the picking up of the trash and the garbage along the streets as we're talking about for this expense.
I thought you said this was for repair and maintenance on Arena Drive.
And that's, yes, I think that's for a contract that the city has with DLA. Maybe,
DLA, well, they might do a little bit of minor maintenance. I'm not sure if they do any repairs on the sprinkler system, but that's, and I don't know if that's what was done for this work. But for the most part, they're picking up all the trash items and that kind of thing along Arena Drive.
So is this for trash pickup or is this for maintenance and repairs along Arena Drive?
and maybe we can clarify that further.
I haven't seen the invoice, so I don't know what's included in it, but
Yeah, I mean, the invoice is,
Caleb, are you? Tom seems to have some information on this.
I mean, the invoice says reimbursement of contract with DLA for maintenance of the Arena Drive, but,
DLA performs mowing outside the arena. Also, the planters that you see out front, they take care and maintain those. The planters that work as deterrents in front of the arena where it's grasses, they maintain that. They also do some tree work around the exterior, which is different than from the festival space, and that's done through Parks and Rec, where they take care of the trees and the throughout the middle of the lot. So, but DLA does perform that monthly. They also come through with street sweepers outside in the whole area around the arena. So they do quite a bit of work.
Yeah, I'm not doubting that. What I'm asking is I'm trying to figure out, should this payment be from this source or should it be for the source with Parks and Rec, because we got DLA having part of it. We've got, I've heard Arena Drive, we're picking up trash. I've heard maintenance. What is this money for? That's what I'm trying to get at. What is this expenditure for?
so if we could come back to you with an answer that says what it distinguishes what money is paid out of the foundation and what money is paid out of a annual maintenance type contract.
Yeah, I think that'd be good, because I don't know that
Okay.
I fully have a grasp of where one starts and one ends, and where this is supposed to be used versus the money that we gave to Parks and Rec last year. Because I understand a lot of it is for the festival space, but I think some of it is also for the footprint closer to the arena too, I believe. So it'd be good to have that delineation if we could, if that's okay.
And I suspect the DLA part is, I mean, as a downtown property owner, I pay them for all the work they do as part of our maintenance bid. I'm guessing that that's what this is, but yeah, we'd be
I
good to
think
know.
that's right. And part of what goes on here, the foundation money is to be used for a matrix that was put together by PC Sports that lists the kinds of anticipated maintenance and repairs that those monies are to be used for. And I don't think it was this kind of work, to the extent that it's cleanup, was to be included in that. Now, again, if there was some other kind of repair or maintenance that does fit within there, that's what I don't know.
Geez, anybody else gonna come up?
Caleb? you
Yep,
wanna-
Caleb Swanson with PC Sports. The exact details of this invoice, I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to that. But in general terms, what DLA does that is paid for out of an operations budget and not out of a foundation or endowment fund are what you would classify more as the day-to-day, the regular maintenance. So that's the trash pickup, it's the mowing, it's the fertilizing, the spraying of the turf, the weed control, plant care, those kinds of things. So that's
That's what
those-
DLA pays for.
Right, those are the expenses that you are going to see coming out of like an operations budget, not out of an endowment or a parks foundation. The general intent for those monies when they were established, because most parks endowments don't cover day-to-day maintenance, as far as I'm aware of. That's not something that they typically look to fund with their endowments. What they cover are more what I would call long-term capital replacement costs. So let's say something in, for an example, 10 years, a large section of the fencing between the railroad and Arena Drive were to need major renovation or replacement. That definitely would not fall under someone's typical day-to-day maintenance needs, but it's something that would need to be covered. That's the kind of expense that would be anticipated by the endowment funds. So it's more of a day-to-day regular maintenance versus longer term. I can help with looking into this particular invoice and kind of helping delineate the specifics on this one. But that's kind of the general overview of the intent of the two separate funding sources.
And again, there is this matrix that Caleb developed that would set forth the kinds of repairs that the endowment would pay for and over what schedule.
I understand that, and I think that would be helpful. I think it's incumbent upon us as members of the joint public agency that these monies be used for the JPA footprint. And to the extent there's overlap, we need to know where that delineation is. And then secondly, it needs to be used, again, exclusively for the footprint, not for areas outside the footprint.
Yep, and there is a list and a delineation that does exist. It's managed and maintained by a gentleman named Colin Christopher, who works for the city. That's one of his responsibilities, so I can talk with him about getting the most up-to-date version of that, and we can share that.
And that's part of the West Haymarket Business Improvement District. And that's really where DLA is functioning from. And so in that sense, the JPA is like any other business owner.
Okay, thank you.
Would you send all of us that material, whatever you send, and would you also send all of us the fund statement for the endowment account? All right. Where were we? On the payment register, I believe. Is there public comment?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. I'd like a copy of that too.
Copy for Jane. Thank you. Is there any other public comment? All right. The approval of the payment register is in order now. Is there a motion to approve?
I move it.
Yeah, I'll second. I'll approve it, subject to, I want to make sure that, we can have it accurate. So, I don't know how that works, Jeff, if we need to.
Have a motion to reconsider next month if we need to.
Yeah,
Well, I
just
think
add
if
that to
the
it.
payment's been made, I mean, you can, if you want to put money back in or take money out of the foundation, that money's going to be there. So I guess, approving this payment register will not prevent you from correcting the source of the money at a later point.
Okay, say that.
Okay, so you're satisfied with going ahead with the
Yes.
approval of the payment register? And does that mean you're seconding that?
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the payment register be approved. Further comment? Call the roll.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Beitler?
Yes, the payment register is approved. Agenda item number 5, review of the expenditure report for April 2018. Again, Brandon will present that to us.
So you have before you the payment report, or the payment register. All the payments on the payment register are included within the operating and capital reports that you have before you. Just to update, occupation taxes, 430, we're up 1.23%. That's still 25% above the original projections, with correspond with year 2029.
Thank you, Brandon. Any questions of Brandon? Is there public comment?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. In the paper, it said that there was $29,000 in the occupation tax fund. Is that correct? Is that all there is?
Brandon, would you reply, please?
I think in the paper, the report would have been coming from a total overall cash balance report from the city. Probably would have been more like $29 million within that
29
fund.
million?
Yeah.
Okay, rather than 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's to be protected to pay off the bonds, right?
Well, the city has the the city manages the money for the JPA, so by doing that, we invest it in multiple different types of things like Treasury, United States Treasuries, United States agencies. This board's sorry, got something in my throat. This board's authorized investments in TIFs as well. I think about $7.1 million are invested in TIF funds.
So it's subject to being used for something else then, right? Invested?
Well, all public funds are invested to get the best return available so that, the money's not just sitting there idly doing nothing. Now, I say that, we do that with a few things in mind, which is first, safety of capital, second, cash availability for operations, and then third, return on investment.
Okay, so actually, when the first payment comes due, where will that money come for the interest and the principal?
We currently make interest payments and some principal payments on the bonds. So,
Okay,
the funds are managed so that there's cash available when needed
to pay.
to pay bonds, operations, whatever is coming in at the time.
Okay, so that'll come out of a city fund, is that right?
Well, the bond payments would come out of, the JPA funds.
Okay. Which are what? Occupation tax, what else?
So
What's left here?
occupation taxes, parking revenues.
Okay,
There's a multitude of sources that go into the total JPA budget.
okay. So will you let me know exactly what's in there?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Jane. Is there any further comment? No further actions required on agenda item number 5. Agenda item number 6, WH 18-5, resolution authorizing the issuance of a purchase order.
Tom Lorenz, General Manager with Pinnacle Bank Arena SMG. We approached the JPA to approve the purchase of 6 walk-through metal detectors. The brand is a SIA. It's a model PMD2. We, as best practices in our industry, continue to look towards safety for our patrons, and the metal detectors are a huge step towards that. Right now, we hand wand patrons, and depending on the time of year, depending on the flow rate, it's sometimes a little difficult to do that. The metal detectors are made exactly for that process. They've been standardized across the country, where we see Major League Baseball, Major League National Football League, other arenas using these metal detectors. It allows us to have a high flow rate through with what we call a high resolution, so that we can pick out a weapon either on an ankle, waist, underneath their arm, whatever. And again, it adds to the safety of our patrons. We also have performers that, as part of their security riders, are demanding that we have these items in place. We certainly are looking at a larger number of those for the arena, but for right now, while we work through the exact number, placement, funding, those type of things, 6 metal detectors with the cases that go with it will allow us to use these at Pinewood Bowl this summer for our Pinewood Bowl series. And they also then can move back to the arena, and we can use them at the arena also. So the total expenditure is $40,920. That gets us the 6 metal detectors, the gate protective covers, and also the cases that allow us to safely move those back and forth.
Thank you. Questions of Tom?
I'm curious. I've not been to an arena or stadium that I recall where these have been used. So how how does it work? Are you screened first and then swipe your ticket, or how's it?
As we started as another best practice that we use with other, with the football stadium, with other things, we have a clear bag policy, so we're able to have someone outside look at the bag.
Right.
And then they would approach the metal detector. We have a small table that goes to the side. If there's something we need to have them take out, keys, some
Cell phone.
a cane, any of those type of things. Then they would walk through the metal detector. If they have a mass that shows up as a weapon or whatever, the metal detector has lights on the side. It would show us right side, this height. As they come through, then we would be able to have them open up. We'd be able to either visually look or wand them. If they don't have any large mass, and the metal detectors can be set now so that even a cell phone, a belt buckle does not set it off. That's the high resolution part. Then they're able to go on through. So the idea is that as people learn the system, as they come up, they aren't carrying, first of all, hopefully not a weapon. And then they'll know what they can and can't have in their pocket, what sets it off, and we'll have a table on the side. And this way, we can get somewhere between 600 to 800 people through per metal detector, and allows us to get people in much less invasively than when we do it with either a pat down or a wand, and very high effective rate of not letting anything that shouldn't come through.
And quicker than wanding and
Yes.
patting down? Yeah.
Yep. And certainly more effective. And it goes all the way from the shoe all the way up to the top of your head. So it's a full, we can find out if something has underneath a hat, around the neck, arm, waist, ankle. It's very effective.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, safety's paramount, obviously, so this is, it's crazy that we're sitting here talking about this. But that's the times that we're in right now, and providing safety for our patrons that are going to events is paramount, and the performers is paramount. So I appreciate you looking into this and performing best practices to make sure that we do all we can. My question is 6 enough for what you're needing, or is that?
6 right now will help us at Pinewood Bowl.
Okay.
And we'll certainly incorporate them through some of the shows at the arena throughout the summer. A larger number would be needed to cover all the entrances at the arena, and we'll still look towards that and come back to you hopefully at some point in the future after we've worked through some other details.
Okay. The other thing is, I would assume best practices will also show how to get people in and out from a timeliness standpoint, so that this won't delay. When they arrive, they can get through much quicker than the wanding.
Correct.
Would enable that to happen.
It does help us get them in at a better flow rate, and this isn't the only safety measure we take.
Right.
It's incorporated as a part of a larger process.
Right.
Some are very visible, some are less visible, but it is a key part to allow us to move forward and do best practices and continue to hope to make people as safe as possible.
Well, thanks for doing that. Appreciate that.
Tom, talk a little bit about, I assume there's some operating costs associated with this.
Yeah, right now we would have staff out there physically doing the wanding. And so the way that we staff these slightly different. Before we would have somebody checking bags, sending them into a wanding line, physically wanding someone, and then sending them through to get their ticket scanned. We would shift now to, we would still have someone checking bags, but we'd have what we call a pacer out front, who helps people get into line, gives them directions, keeps things moving quickly. And on the back side, after they've gone through the metal detector, if a light comes up that shows there may be something to look at, now we'll have one person on the backside wanding for 2 or 3 lines. So roughly the same cost. It may be one extra person per 3 or 4 lines, but it's a much more effective way of doing that. So when we do a concert, we have essentially a line item in the expenses that we make a show cost for security. And so we're able to cover the cost of the extra staffing. That includes all the other things that we do, which would be bomb dogs and different security in different parts of the arena. So all those things hopefully are reimbursed for most events.
Are these costs built into the ticket prices?
Ticket prices are
That
set by
work?
the artist, and so a certain portion of the artist's ticket price is always assumed to be show expenses, which would include things like stagehands, advertising, and certainly our security line, because that's becoming more and more important for the artist to see that they have a high level of security in their building. Some of the things that we have that we do as far as cameras and as far as best practices with clear bags and what we allow in and out are part of our general policies, and so they're not covered. But the extra things like metal detectors, like wanding, like pat-downs, if we had to do those, that generally becomes a show cost, for at least on a concert basis.
Okay. All right, any other questions of Tom? For public comment?
Did you call for public comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I didn't hear. How many entrances are there to the arena? More than 6?
More than 6.
Okay, so what will you do about the others?
We'll continue to do the practices we have now. We'll continue to wand. We'll continue to do either pat-downs. We use all those different methods now. And until we, at some point in the future, come back and look at covering all of the different entrances with metal detectors. And that's a future option for us. But for right now, this allows us to do what we need to at Pinewood Bowl, and then also have these available to put into some of the entrances and speed some entry on particularly high-volume portions of the arena.
So they're portable, and you can take them to the Pinewood Bowl? Are they like what you do when you go through, at the airport?
Right, and we are not TSA. TSA is looking for every little portion of any metal or, any sort of
Okay.
we're looking for a much larger, like a gun, a bomb, something like that. And so we try to make it as least invasive as possible, and the technology now allows us to let people walk through and do it with a much less invasive thing than they would. These are not scanners like when you put your hand over your head and it scans through at the airport. This is the walk-through portion.
Okay. Does the personnel have to have special training to do this?
We do training with that. The personnel, the people that do wanding now have had training. Certainly the people on the backside, we're all trained in watching, not only for overt things that happen, someone that might create a disturbance, but we're also watching perimeters. We're watching how people react. We're watching their mannerisms. There's a lot of things that go into it, and we try to do our best practices so that people are safe as they come in. And like Tim said, it's difficult to can be concerned about that, but with certain things that happen in the industry and across the country, Lincoln is no less. Lincoln is no less. It might happen here just as much as it might happen in a major city, so we have to be prepared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I just wish the school system had gone that way rather than having the emotion connected with students, staff, and the police. I have something else to add on safety. I realize that people can make statements that might be bogus, but it came to Watchdog's attention that there is a safety issue with your exit doors.
Okay.
Have you looked into that?
And what would that be?
Well,
That-
can we keep the
You don't want to talk about it?
conversation to the
Okay.
agenda item, Jane?
Okay, so I'd like to discuss
But if you
it.
bring that to my attention, we'll certainly discuss that with you.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Do you have your email card?
Sure.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, is there a motion with regard
So
to 18-5 to approve it?
So moved.
Been moved,
Second.
seconded? Is there further discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes. The resolution is approved. Moving on to agenda item number 7, resolution 18-8, settlement agreement with TDP Phase 1 and the Joint Public Agency.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Abby Luttrell from the Law Department.
Abby?
I think that the settlement agreement is pretty well drafted and self-explanatory, so I'll just briefly cover it, and then if I'm happy to ask questions or answer questions. One of the terms of the 2012 redevelopment agreement and then the subsequent licensing agreement for the Cube and the Plaza contained a provision that TIF funds would be used to subsidize a public market within the area. That has been in place for 5 years now and has just proven not to be a very successful business model. And so the settlement agreement that you see before you has been what the parties have kind of determined to be the best way to make a clean break. The real meat of it is that it calls for 2/3 of that TIF allocation, 2/3 of the $400,000 to be returned. That's $266,000 approximately. My understanding is that that would be returned to the city, which then would be returned to the JPA. So that's kind of the bare bones explanation. WRK is also here to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you, Abby. The questions of Abby? Is there public comment on this section?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So what is the control measure?
I guess I don't understand your question. Control measure.
Okay, there is a contract here for pigeon control measures. Okay, so what are the measures that are going to be implemented?
I think we might be on a
Jane, I
different
think
agenda.
there's a
item.
misunderstanding on the agenda item.
Oh, okay.
Number 7 is the one that we're on.
Okay, I'm
on
sorry,
the
I'm on the wrong agenda
May
here.
24th agenda.
So, this is TD Phase 1, is that it?
TDP Phase 1 is the other party to the agreement. That's correct.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Thank you. Is there further public comment on this particular item? Seeing none, are there any questions, any further questions or comments? If not, call the roll, please.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes. Agenda item number 7, resolution is approved. Agenda item number 8, next meeting date, which will be Thursday, June 28th, 2018 at 2:30. The City County Building, Council Chambers, first floor, unless there's objection. Is
Should be good.
fine with that, gentlemen?
Let me look.
Get serious here.
Yep, that works for me.
That's good.
All right, then that will be our next meeting date. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, call the roll.
Eskridge?
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Beitler,
Yes, we are adjourned.